Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave, representing again another railroad track sign. He's on a hot streak right now. You know, we showed a video with one of his shirt signs, and now he's like, you know what? This world needs Drive Safe Dave to teach them a little bit of sign etiquette.
It's not just sign etiquette, it's recognition of what's going on out there. You know, if you're not sure what the sign says, most people ignore it, and I don't want you to ignore very important warnings out there so that you can understand what they mean, and you can also pass that information on, and also recognize it when you're in the car with people that don't really know what they mean, because you know what, if they don't know what they mean, they're just going to ignore it and keep driving, which is pretty scary in and of itself.
Yeah, take the time to teach your kids and teach your family members what those signs mean as you drive by them. We know signs work. They've worked on cigarettes for years. You know, the little signs on there says, warning, it's dangerous for your health. May cause cancer. A lot of people have you know, in turn, stopped smoking. Usually they read it and they say, I'm not going to smoke today.
I didn't smoke the ones that said low birth weight during pregnancy. That's when I was smoking. I didn't use those.
Yeah, I got you, sir. Were you pregnant? Or are you pregnant?
No, not currently. No, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Tested negative.
Tested
I'm
negative
sure
today.
That made, you know, an expecting father out there very happy to find out that test was negative,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Negative Ghost Rider. Wow. Not sure where to start with that. Hey, Drive Safe, I do want to talk just a little bit, though. You know what? We got a lot of things to talk about. Let's talk about the ham. You know, so over in Spain, and producer, I don't know if you know this, you know, somebody gets paid to sniff hams, and not just one person. These guys are like certified people that sniff hams, you know, I think it's 4 sniffs per ham.
Yeah, and you know what's confusing? And so you're already in this room of hams, right? I mean you're surrounded by a room of hams. So it's not like an isolated ham sniff. To me it seems like it would be over. I mean, if you were, you know, scented to that, wouldn't that be in a room full of hams, cooked hams?
Yeah,
You might have a little problem identifying the bad ham from the rest of the hams. But you know what? I don't know. I'm not an old world pork belly sniffer.
There's probably something very specialized about these folks. And it's nothing easy either. I'm going to tell you, the stress that comes along with this job is there. Listen to this. They talk about one person, and there's only one guy out there that's actually like certified year-round, and it's an honor to have it. And this guy's got to sniff normally 200 hams a day.
Wow.
So that's 4 sniffs per ham. That's 800 sniffs. But during the busy season, and Christmas, it's busy, everybody's ordering hams, he has to do 800 hams, in which he says, I'm strained. You know, I'm at the limit of human possibility. And they ask the question, well, what if demand increases? He says, well, I will find a way to sniff 801, possibly 802.
You know what? I do like a guy that meets the challenge. I like the guy that meets the challenge.
You know what?
You know what? He didn't deny the challenge. He accepted the challenge and is willing to move forward. And I'm just saying, you know what?
I'm at my max.
Some of the old world technologies,
you know, it's not.
Don't they have a new technology that can do it? Don't they have like electronic ham sniffers?
No. This is a sacred technique. I mean, this guy had to work up to this. I mean, he's 53 years old, joined the company washing floors in 1989, graduated up to delivery packaging in 1994, carving in 96, and finally in 98. He was put up to quality control, which included sniffing. So this guy's been sniffing for like 20 years.
Yeah, he knows his deal. I mean, I looked it up too. I was just curious, Drive Safe. It's like, you know, what does a sniffer make over there in Spain?
They usually,
and you know what? It's not, you know, there's only 4 of them or 6 of them, so, you know, it's not really advertised.
Most sniffers wind up in rehab. I'm just
right? Exactly. You know what? I'm thinking if he came over here to the States, he could put some of these dogs out of business. And you saw what happened over in Arizona as well, right? In Tucson, a major drug bust, the biggest ever of meth. And what happens is a 21-year-old Mexican's bringing it over to crossing over the bridge.
Car parts.
You know, yeah, it's car parts. I mean, what's it's just a load of car parts. Nothing fishy going on here.
Pallets.
Yeah, they immediately sent him over to the second place, in which the dogs and the
Freaks
ham
out.
sniffer are going crazy. They're going berserk.
That's
You know, the ham
pallets.
sniffer's over there. There's something weird about this one. I'm telling you, it took them 4 sniffs to figure it out. And Drive Safe Dave, over 3,200 pounds of meth.
What kind of street value is that? Do you have any idea? I'm just curious.
You know what? I can get some of my inside sources to find that answer
I'm
out
sure
for
you can.
It depends where you're buying it from. You know, what kind of grade was it? That's the part I don't know. You know, I got to go like this right here. I got to taste it and see what it tastes like. Does it make my tongue numb? You know, what is it doing right there?
Wow.
Yeah.
They're talking about sniffing again.
I don't know. What is meth? Is that, do you sniff meth or what is that? What you smoke?
can do it in any, it's just like any other drug. You can
Yes,
sniff
sir,
it,
man.
you can smoke it, and you can inject it. It's
Thank
like
God
any,
for those signs, because that's why he quit doing it. Producer, what do you got?
So I don't know the exact cost of meth. It's a pretty big range, to be honest with you, from what I just found. So apparently meth prices range from $5,000 to $22,000 per pound. So, you know, if we got 3,200 pounds, we can do 5,000 times
it's
3,200.
more expensive than
1.6.
gold.
It's
I'm just
expensive.
saying it's more expensive.
It's expensive.
It's
It's expensive.
more expensive than gold.
I mean, yeah, I get it. You know, again, it depends on, you know. But anyway, yeah, you know, we continue to see things like this. You know, coming across the border, we're smuggling drugs, we're smuggling people. It's dangerous over there on that border, and that's all over the news as well, Drive Safe. You see all of these stories about what's going on in Texas, and this is kind of, we don't have this on our story here, but what are your thoughts with Texas going in and building their own wall?
Yeah, you know, I think the frustration herein lies the inability for federal government to help support Texas and its issues and problems that it has with border crossings and the number of dangers that's happening there. So Texans are trying to find a way to help facilitate their best measure in protecting Texans along the border area. So I'm not opposed if the people within the community and within the state feel like it's necessary to find a better way to protect themselves, then go ahead and do so.
Yeah, I don't know what I ever expected from seeing the wall. This is going back when the wall first started being talked about. But it's kind of odd. I mean, it's got the holes in it. You know, it's just not what I really call a wall. It's almost like a, you know, like you see the giraffes, and, you know, the other side is like a cage, big cage, you know, ish thing right there. So anyway, just
I've seen several different types of walls in my having lived in Berlin and back in the 70s and 80s. I've seen the death wall, and I've seen, you know, the Great Wall of China, and then you have just this wall right here. I think all of it's basically bound to just offer up as a similar fortified boundary to not make it easy to pass, right?
Yeah.
It's not like any boundary. No man-made structure can stop a person from actually passing it. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and you know, the only wall that I'm real familiar with is this wall right here behind us, and that keeps us protected from our fans, right? I mean, from charging us, from rushing the stage. It keeps us protected, and I feel comfortable today, Drive Safe, to sit here next to you knowing that we are protected by this wall right here.
Right here.
This
You know
is
what this is
BCB
right here?
Live.
This is just another brick in the wall.
That was cute. That was cute. And more cuteness coming your way in 60 seconds with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hey, everybody. It's Drive Safe Dave here with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. As you know, winter is upon us, and with winter comes some difficulties and challenges. Now, if you live below or running below that 20 or I-10 corridor, you may not feel that pressure, but if you do, let's talk about a few little tips that we have. Tip number one, let's make sure we get over here and we drain these air tanks. Let's get that moisture out of there so that we make sure, because moisture and freezing cold temperatures don't mix. All they make is ice. Tip number two, remember when air temperature drops, so does pressure in these tires. You want to make sure that when you enter into or near cold temperatures, you make sure that your tire pressure is and cold pressure stays correct throughout these cold temperatures. You want to be safe out there because this is where the rubber meets the road. Tip number three, if it's extreme weather and extreme cold conditions, you may want to make sure that you use an anticoagulant or an anti-gel inside the diesel fuel so that it thins and doesn't gel up on you in the lines or anywhere else. Tip number four, as you know, when you enter into the West, there are certain regions that require you to have snow chains, and or snow socks in that region. Make sure that you carry them. And tip number 5, I'm going to give this one to you as a freebie. Carry with you a little bit of cat litter in your truck. That way, if you get a little bit stuck or if you get near a region that doesn't have a lot of grip, you can throw that down and give your truck that needed oomph to get out of those sticky or slippery situations. For more pertinent and safety information, you can always tune in Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time between 7 and 8 a.m. and get that needed information on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Breaking news coming your way right now. Drive safe, Dave. We have a report of the Ever Given making its way through the Suez Canal one more time. The big breaking news, Drive safe, Dave. And people are running. There's a mad dash right now because at the Suez Canal, Drive safe, they have a state of emergency going on right now.
I believe the Ever Given coming through even heavier than before. Worried.
It's the heaviest ever. I mean, it's like 16 meters of clearance, which is what, 40 feet maybe? I don't even know, but not very far from from hitting that canal again. Heavy.
Yeah, it's not only is it heavy, but they're making sure that it doesn't have another blockage like they had before and have to confiscate this one.
I mean, we remember the Suez Canal. If you don't remember, that was when the Ever Given blocked the canal, and it began what became known as, the supply chain crisis. I don't know if that's going to be like the reason why all of this is at. I think so. It was blamed for everything, for prices in fuel, for shoes not coming here. Even though most of that product wasn't coming to the States, it was
Norway.
Still blamed
I think
for
it was
everything.
headed to Norway.
But yeah, it's going back, and it's for real. I mean, they're serious about this, so they're returning with a heavier load. State of emergency was declared to make sure or ensure a smooth passage for that massive vessel.
And I believe it did. I think it passed through without incident and moved on into the Mediterranean.
It did. It went back, I think, in August, empty. It had gone through, but it's the first time coming back through loaded. The ship had left. It had left Egyptian waters back in July 7th. And I didn't know this until reading the article, but they actually had a ceremony. Did you see that? There was a ceremony right there as it began to leave, and here it goes. It happened in the city of Ismailia. And it was a compensation contract where they kind of shook hands, and they, during this big old thing, this big old celebration, or
I'm sure they threw a party for what they were paid.
$540 million check had to be signed over before it was allowed to leave.
Yeah, that's a party. $540 million. I'd throw a party too. Yeah, whoa!
I wondered if everybody's like, come on, do it again. Can you block it one more time? What a crock, man. What a crock. And so there we go. But it made it through. Life is good. The Suez Canal is free. We are free. The supply chain is officially over. Crisis, right? It's over now. I
don't think it's over.
But you see but we talk about the containers, right? We've seen in November a dip of, I think, 7% in California, an increase of 9% over on the East Coast.
Yeah, so they're moving around. They're trying to find another way to get their products onto the American shore, and they're utilizing some of the former things that the East Coast used to be the place where everything came in, and I guess they're just going back to the old ports to get these containers in and using the East Coast ports. So there's a ton of them, and they're using them all.
Yeah, there's a lot, and we've seen even in Galveston down in Texas, in Houston, they're seeing some major business, and they weren't saying who it was yet, but are changing their cross docking facility. So when you port at these cities at Long Beach, on the East Coast, Texas, it doesn't matter where you port at. It's not just taking your ship there. Oftentimes you got to build a warehouse.
Yep.
You got to build a logistics place. You got to have that ready to go as well. Your trailers, your containers get offloaded and they go immediately to get unloaded or reworked or whatever that is. So there's more than just, let's just move it up another coast. Let's move it up here. You've got an infrastructure built to handle those containers.
Yeah, there's customs that they still have to go. There's federal government agencies that still have to pass through to get regulation to allow them to get out. Also, the containers themselves may be broken down into several different shipping departments so that they may, you may send furniture to this place and then medical supplies to this place that may be within the same container. So you've just got to make sure that what you have to do, it does take a little bit more. Plus you have to have the chassis to dump them. Mm-hmm. You have to have the trucks to come in. It takes a lot more than just, hey, let's just go to the exit over here. It's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah, you see on the FMCSA, Joe, she's leaving.
I saw that. We were all pumped up that she was coming in.
I think we were excited for that. But, yeah, she's leaving the she wasn't yet appointed, but she had been the
deputy director, approved. I believe she was.
She could be the administrator of the FMCS and drive safe. I don't know if it's a supply chain issue. If it's like, this thing's a mess. I got to say right here is that she's going back to the municipal government of New York City. So I think it just tells you this thing must be a mess if I'm going back to New York City. What? New York City is so much more organized than this government, than this FMCSA, than this supply chain crisis. I'm going back to that. But she was named one of 5 deputy mayors, all females as well, of New York City. And what's a deputy mayor even? What is that?
I believe they're over the borough, over the borough, gotcha. One of the boroughs. So when you talk about the deputy mayor of New York, you talk about the different boroughs that are incorporated within that. So you've got to make sure that they each have their own, I guess, regime. But that's what they do.
Gotcha. And that's a great fact check operation opportunity for one of you out there. If you want to check that out, great answer. I had no idea what it is, and you came pretty quick with it, which usually means that
I made it up.
It's been made up. That's just what
sounds good though.
And I'm going to go with it. I mean, you threw Burrow in there, and that's great. You're probably right. I'm going to go right now and say, drive safe, Dave. You were accurate in this. I'm going to go. I believe your story, right?
Thank you.
I do. I believe.
Thank you. You know what? I work on my stories a lot, so I'm glad we're moving forward. What else you got over there?
You know what? Just we continue to see just a lot of different changes. I want to talk about this. I know you're a big Elon fan. You see the battle that's going on between him and Elizabeth, the senator up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
What's her name? Elizabeth Warren. There you go, yeah. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Going back, and
former presidential candidate, right? Wasn't she a former presidential candidate?
So Elon was just named Dude of the Year or Person of the Year. What was his title?
I don't know.
He got named something of the year, and give us one of those titles. Can we be the man?
I think you need to make a lot of money. I think you need to make billions.
Or create some kind of success.
Or go to space.
But Elon did do this. So they're going back and forth. And she says this, let's change this rigged tax code. Let's change it, Drive Safe Dave, so the person of the year will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off everyone else.
So now Elon's a freeloader.
Wow. And Elon, we get it, right? We hear the same thing about Trump. And now Elon's in that thing. And Elon's a big tweeter, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's not afraid to tweet.
He'll kick back.
He does, and so here he goes. So what comes on his next tweet? It's this right here. He goes, he tweeted out that I will pay more than $11 billion in taxes this year. 11 billion tax, and then it's more taxes than any American in the history has. 11 billion. I haven't seen Elizabeth Warren's response to that yet. Come on.
It makes good press, right? I mean, when you're standing in front of a bunch of people, and it just makes good press to say something like that. I truly believe that, but you have to be very careful when you shout out to Elon, because he'll probably hear it and kick back. 11 billion. What are you paying, Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, right. He's paying $11 billion. Of course, he's not going to share his tax returns with anybody. I'm just kidding. But you know what? You have $11 billion. But you know what? The guy lives off what's stated on tweet. The same thing on Twitter. Didn't his people, the followers or him, say, hey, you know what? We want you to sell 10% of one of your stocks, whatever that is, one of your companies.
Right.
And he did it. Sold 10%. And of course, he's got to pay some taxes on that. But he sold that. It was like
That is a lot of money.
$680 million is what he brought in off whatever that was he sold. I remember that tweet. That was only
Wasn't that
a
the
couple,
health?
3 weeks
Wasn't that
ago.
the hunger thing he did? Isn't that what he was? Wasn't that the hunger thing?
That was a different one, but that was another one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He said, "I'd
you know
sell."
What? Tell me what you're going to do with my money, and I'll give it to you. Show me how you're going to manage it, and I'll give it to you.
Hey, I'd
He
rather
will
give it
call
to you than
out.
to the $11 billion to the United States.
So yeah, Elon is, most of it, he's got, it says here too, Dave, $248 billion is his net worth.
That's a penny.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not a bad day.
quarter of $1 trillion.
That's not a bad day.
$250 billion.
But I still though I can't see paying $11 billion. That's just, even if you're worth that much, that's a lot. That's a big check to write. I'm gonna go fake news. I'm going fake news right now. Producer, what are you thinking on that?
You thinking that's fake news?
I'm going fake
thinking
news
that.
on $11 billion.
I don't know.
I think maybe on the surface he has to pay $11 billion, but I'm sure he has really good accountants.
I
and
do
he's
too.
not going to be paying.
I think he's got
$11
some of the best. I'm sure it looks like he paid $11 billion, but it may not actually be a check he wrote.
Yeah, probably $11 billion-ish. Something on that. Yeah, I'm just going. I don't think so.
11 billion IOUs and like
there's something else there. Hey, Drive, before we go into break here, I do want to go back to safety for a second. What I want to talk about now is what you do out there on the road. It really does matter. And I'm going to go into this and kind of explain what I'm saying is when you're out there, you represent not only the industry, not only do you represent yourself, your family, and all of that, you represent your company that you're driving for. And sometimes, Drive Safe, we saw this up in Canada, just to kind of give you an example here. Well, there's a person trying to pass on the side of the road. I don't know if you saw this or not. He's trying to pass this on the side of the road, and they hate film of it. And the Canada goes in there, and they shut that entire company, 171 trucks. They shut it down to investigate what's going on because of what I look at, Dave. It's just it's the action of one, right?
Yeah, and you know what? If you look closely at it, it's right here. He's pushing him, and I just find this to be just so dangerous on this highway on a non-passing, and then publicize it. And I think what really got them mad about this right here is that no one they're proud of what they were doing, and I think that makes a big difference.
Well,
right?
but again, but this is somebody else, tweeting it or whatever. He's not, there's somebody filming him passing somebody. And I guess what I struggle with understanding, first of all, is how do you shut a company down for the action of one? And it leads you to believe there's probably some kind of history with this company, right?
Absolutely.
And this is the final straw. They shut them down to investigate 171. But I am going to say this, is that what you're doing out there on the road
matters.
People see what you're doing, and it really does matter. That's their perception of the company. That's the perception of our industry. When you're passing a no passing zone, when you're running red lights, and they see your company name on that tractor trailer go by, that is their impression of the company you're working for. And you've got to make sure that you realize what that is. That it's so much bigger sometimes than you really think. I think for you, sometimes it's a mile a day, right? I just got to get here. You've got to make sure that you're running safe, that you're protecting life, and people notice this. Why? Because your name's all over that 53-foot sign. It's on that tractor you drive. It's on our industry. And as an industry, we've got to remember, and we've seen so many videos, almost like that passing, no passing zones. We've seen that plenty of times. And we've got to make sure that we recognize what we're doing. And we're recognizing that we're hurting an industry that desperately needs to have a better image, especially when it comes to all the lawsuits that are going on.
Not just lawsuits, but you want people to want to be here, right? You want people to want to come in here, and you want people not only to appreciate and respect drivers out there on the road and not look at them as the enemy, but look at them as the leaders out there on the road. So you want to make sure that not only are you're doing it right, but you want the next generation to want to be what you are. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing what needs to be done and doing it the right way.
Yeah, doing it, doing it the right way. And that's the way you do it. That's the way you should do any job. If you're sitting there right now and you're a person invoicing, or you're dispatching, or you're doing customer service, whatever order entry, you've got to realize that you've got to do it to the best of your ability. And you, as a driver out there, boy, I mean, nobody has it more rough than you. We get that part, where you've got to stay focused all the time on what you're doing, because one mistake, one break, one stretch can end a life, can end your millions of miles that you've driven safety, accident free. It can ruin all of that. I'm just going to say, just remember that the difference in today and, say 10 years ago are these cameras, or the cameras that we all have. These cameras that are all over the place. They're on stoplights, they're on your truck, they're everywhere. They're going to see what you're doing, and we want to make sure that you focus on that. Use that, is what I say, to help, if you can remember that, I think it will also help you drive a little safer, because you're being filmed. And, I was listening to ESPN radio on the way into work today, Dave, and they were talking about film. I'll just say this. They say this was one of the players, an ex-player, saying he couldn't stand film. He hated film because it never lied, because it always told the truth, because you could see the block you missed. And he used it, don't get me wrong, but the thing about film is that it is what it is. It never lies. It's showing you what you did. And when we show you these videos, it's important that you learn from your videos. It's important that you learn from other videos. When you see these folks that are passing on these no passing zones, when you see people running red lights, it's so important that you take that and you apply it to how you drive, to how you operate your commercial vehicle. This is BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We'll come back to you in about 60 seconds. Rick Larkin here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight and Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight and Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety. One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live. As we come back to BCB Live, we want to remind each and every one of you that as we we start approaching these holidays, is that this is the time that the thieves begin to work. They're clocking in extra right now. They will put in the OT right now, because those trailers you're carrying, listen, you've got to make sure you have them padlocked, because if it's an easy access, if it's easy to look at, to open up, to break that seal, they're going to do it, and they're going to steal that trailer. This is the time of the year that thefts happen. And Dave, we go back to what happened in North Carolina, and we're going to go to a quick story on that. This guy, this person up there, he's being charged with stealing over $800,000 in shipping containers and product inside of them, including Ashley furniture. This dude's for real. I mean, and they know who he is. They got him down. Now they've been investigating. They know who he is, and now they can't find him.
Now it's a manhunt.
21-year-old, manhunt searching for this person. But I bring this up for only to say this, is that This is when they begin to work during these holidays. And when you come Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, that's the days that they really work. This is their prime time. And if you're pulling a load of something that's valuable, you know, TVs, appliances, pharmaceuticals, those kind of furniture, items that can be quickly moved around, call your dispatcher, find a secured place to park. At minimum, make sure that you have some locks on your trailers, right? Air locks, you know, padlocks on anything to prevent them from getting into that trailer. That deters them, maybe makes them go just look at the next trailer.
Yeah, and I'm just going to tell you, we all know what we're talking about here. Use a little common sense when it comes to your equipment. Leaving a truck and trailer in the same spot alone on the side or in an area that it's not commonly there for several days that it would draw attention to, that right there is a big time target for people, even and an opportune target for people that know that, oh, that must be sitting there through the holidays, and find a good way to utilize the common sense of parking in the right spot, making sure that it's secured, utilizing locks and measures, and turning off truck power, because they'll steal both truck and trailer.
Yeah, they will. So if you're out there and you're picking up a load that's delivering, say, 250 miles, you're picking it up and it delivers on Monday after Christmas, pick it up Sunday. Leave that trailer, if you can, at that shipping yard because it's protected there. If you pick it up and just bring it home so you don't have to go there and get your load, people will follow you and they will take that trailer, they'll take your truck, they'll do all they can because this is their prime time, baby. This is the time that they're looking for your mistake. Anything like that, they will jump all over it. Drive Safe Dave, it's phrase that pays time, baby. Give it to us.
All righty, here we go. The phrase that pays is, the weather outside is frightful. Slowing down would be delightful. All right, the weather outside is frightful. Slowing down would be delightful.
Yeah, I wish, show them that little gibble, that's a little dance you're doing during that right there.
doing
As we go into break, Buckle Up Bob's coming up next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I am Buckle Up Bob, and we are going to start off with some traffic. Again, yesterday was great. We're going to see what it looks like today. I do believe it's just going to get better as people, less people are working, more vacations taking off. So again, be careful, be mindful that as you're out there, you're going to have a lot of people that may be tired, may be in a hurry to get to grandma's house, as they say, right? So just be mindful of that. But as we start in the DFW area, yesterday was horrible. Today looks really good. Fort Worth looks just terrific. Nothing more than a 5-minute delay, if even that. Same thing on the DFW or the Dallas side. Just really smooth sailing. The loops look good. Up here in North 65 near Richardson and stuff, these are all in the north or westbound lanes. A little bit of a slowdown, but nothing over 5 minutes. And then the same one here as you come through on Irving. So in the Irving area, 183 and 114, you might see a little bit of a slowdown. There's usually traffic. Again, that is the northbound side. But all in all, looks really good if you're heading into the DFW area this morning. Houston, we do not have a problem. It looks great. Just a little bit here on 45. As you can see, that is going to be on the southbound lanes, but the loop looks great. 45 south here, that can be a problem, looks good. 290 out here from the west looks good. 10 looks great. And of course, the tollways all look great this morning as you go through the Houston area. So again, be patient, keep that speed and space managed well, and we shouldn't have any problems in the Houston area this morning. Well, we know if Houston and Dallas look good, Kansas City has to look good, right? And it is true. I mean, there's just hardly any blips on the radar. So again, if you're in Kansas City, hey, folks, enjoy it. Keep up the good work, and just keep that speed and space managed well. Chicago, it actually even looks better than yesterday. We had a little bit more red closer city, but again, looks just terrific in the Chicago area. The loops all look great. All the main thoroughfares coming in and out of the city, 90, 88, 80 down here, 55, all look terrific. Crossing the Indiana-Illinois state line, 80, 90, looks terrific as well. So again, as you come through the Chicago area, you've got smooth sailing this morning. So again, let's keep it going, everybody. Atlanta, 2 days in a row, looks good. The loop looks just terrific. Maybe a 10-minute slowdown at Sandy Springs, always a problem there. A small little on the eastbound, maybe a 5 to 10-minute delay there. And then 85 has some slowdown as you come into the loop. So the southbound on 85, it's yellow, it's not red, so it's moving. It's just not moving very fast. So again, you just have some slow. That's where it's gonna, seems like it's gonna take most of your patience this morning, all the way back out past Pleasant Hill and all the way into the inner side there by Chamblee at that little airport. As we move into Philadelphia, wow, it looks really good. A little bit of slowdown in Conshohocken, but it's not the continuous line as we normally see. So again, Philadelphia looks good. A little bit of a slowdown, that 10 to 15-minute area along the river as you come into the city of Philadelphia. But everything else looks great. New Jersey side looks awesome. Southern Philadelphia area looks good, as does the west, and the 476 Turnpike Loop around also looks terrific this morning as you come into the Philadelphia area. Nashville looks pretty good. A little bit of, we always have the slowdowns here at the 2440 merge. And again, 24 northbound, usually way backed up here down by Stone Ridge, stops right here about Antioch. And again, you're looking at a 15 to 20-minute delay. That is typical, as is the merge up here at 6524. So just be patient in those areas, and you should be good. But the rest of it, 40 looks good. The loop itself looks terrific this morning as you come into the Nashville area. Baltimore, wow, hardly any red at all. Just a little stretch here on the north or westbound lanes, if you will, between Parkville and Towson. So you look great in the Baltimore area. The 295 looks pretty good. 295 has a little bit of a slowdown here at Jessup and at the merge point of, looks like 97 and 295. But all in all, looks really good. A little bit of a problem here in Fairland. But then D.C. area, you look great this morning as well. Typical Silver Spring on the north side. But the loop looks really good. All the way to Annandale, Springfield, all of it looks good. 66 looks great. 95 coming up from the south also looks good as you come into the D.C. area. So again, great day this morning. Again, good rush hour commute. Be careful out there. Indianapolis, wow. Almost looks like Kansas City, right? I mean, there's just nothing going on, folks. 70 looks great. The loop looks terrific. All the thoroughfares feeding in, 65 north, 74, as well as south. All look great as they come into the 465 loop. And you just look great. Smooth sailing this morning as you come into the Indianapolis area. As we go into weather, our weather's going to be pretty good. We do have some snow coming in the next 3 to 5 days in the upper elevations. But today, again, the big story is going to be the wind. And it's a smaller concentrated area, folks. So I just want we'll zoom in here. So it's really going to be west of Denver. You can't just go there right now. And here's why. 47-mile-an-hour gusts, or 47-mile sustained winds, 58-mile-per-hour gusts in the last 30 to 40 minutes, just west of Denver. So 58-mile gusts. And we had some up here in Wyoming as well. There's a 64-mile-an-hour gust near Cheyenne. So, hey, get with your company. It is unsafe to drive in these 50-mile-an-hour gusts, no matter how heavy you are. And as we zoom out, we'll just kind of show you where the area is going to be. Geofences have been set up. So again, make sure, and it's going to be for Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, and just the kind of western part of Colorado. And I'll show you why here. As the day goes by, right, we get into that a little bit more, and then it shrinks a little bit, but then tomorrow it's going to get a little worse as the snow comes in, I guess. Actually, it's changed better. So, again, Idaho's will be off limits. This morning, when I looked, Idaho was also in the wind. So it's just going to be Montana, Wyoming, and just that little stretch that comes in north of Denver coming down. So if you're out there driving, be ready for that. The wind gusts are over 60 miles an hour in a lot of places right now. As we look at our rain and snow today, it's going to mainly be in the southeast here, as you can see here. As we look, this is at 3 p.m. It should be out right now. It's passing through Florida here in the next couple of hours there, right through kind of the middle of the Tampa, St. Petersburg area. A little bit of snowfall up in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota, but all in all, not too bad as you go through. And then 5 p.m. tonight, you can see it kind of moves out. Just some lingering showers in the southeast. And for tomorrow morning, you can see a little bit of the snow pops up in the northeast a little bit. And then upper elevations out here in the northwest. The rain is out of the picture. And then as we get into pre-Christmas Eve, you can see that snow starts to move into that southwest. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go later on in the week. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
This is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
And you got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob. A few little wind gusts going around, I saw.
Yeah, nothing like last week or so.
Boy,
but
that
yeah,
was a mess last week.
It really was, but it's going to be just as dangerous. The 60-mile-an-hour gusts already in Wyoming, Montana, and you got to be careful going west on 70 out of Denver. There's some wind there. Should maybe subside here in the next couple hours. So just be patient if you got to head west out of Denver. But mainly going to be the Wyoming and the Montana areas today, it looks like. So again, we're some 68-mile-an-hour gusts already in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So guys, no matter how heavy you are, you can't drive in 68-mile-an-hour winds. It will blow you over. So you just got to be patient. It doesn't look like it's going to be a big wind system like last week, but be careful out there and just pull over, get with your company, and talk to them about the wind gusts, right? See if it's safe to do so. Hey, this week we're talking about weather driving, right? Weather safety. And so we're going to focus on the driving portion, and then we'll have some tips at the end of some kits and things you should have in your truck based on what drivers. drivers out there, be thinking about that. Love to hear your responses of what you like to have in for winter survival kits. But the thing today is snow. And, according to the FMCSA yesterday, we said by 30%. Today, in snowpacked roads, you need to be reduced by 50%. And one of the things that was astonishing to me a little bit was that weather-related vehicle accidents, right, average more deaths per year than weather-related fatalities combined. So what we mean by that is, if you take flooding, lightning, hurricanes, heat, right, heat deaths, all these weather-related that don't involve cars, they average about 379 per year, all of them together. Yet weather-related vehicle fatalities average over 5,000. I mean, that is what almost over 10, about 15 times the amount that all the other weather-related issues combined happen that attribute to fatalities. So weather-related vehicle accidents, they're critical out there, folks. They're real, and as you might expect, wet and rain are two of the most contributing factors. And that really makes sense when you stop and think about it. One, we don't treat them as serious, I think, as we do winter conditions. The other thing is it pretty much rains all year round. So you have to deal with it all 12 months, where you may not have to deal with the snow and other things all 12 months of the year. So folks, be mindful of that on the wet pavement, right? It may be icy, it may be not, but you just got to slow down no matter what. And we got some videos this morning. Again, why the spaces in front. Kudos to this driver, is able to stop and stay in their lane. Don't know what happened to that pickup truck, but some kind of distress, right? Because they're just not going to stop there without a reason. So obviously there was a problem that truck developed. And again, you've got to be mindful of that. Hit them brakes early, folks. But all in all, wanted to go over, didn't, was able to stop. We can still see the road. So great job by the driver. Just maybe be a little bit more on that defensive edge because, again, you don't expect this, but he had his flashers on there at the end. Something happened to him. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I'm going to agree 100% on this. I mean, so in the driver, I mean, they're in their passing zone right now. They're going to pass the big truck without any problem whatsoever. And, logic says, well, the car in front of you, it was way ahead of me. It's going to keep its space, or it's going to keep its speed going. Something happened, right? Mm-hmm. The car's, the big truck or that pickup truck's got his blinkers or hazards on, and we have enough time to recognize it, which means somehow mentally, maybe even out loud, we were counting down our seconds to make us realize that we're approaching a little quicker. Something's wrong. We were well aware of this, and we're able to stop and still have that pavement in between. Great job on this. And you know what I still like, too, at the very end of this? We still gave him some more space.
Yes.
We get on him, and then we, now, okay, instead of riding him, now look, even at that slow speed, he begins to pull away. Great job.
Yeah, and we talk all the time about how 2 to 3 miles make a difference in your speed, right? Speed limit was 70. This driver was doing 67, and it allowed them extra precious seconds to not even make that a close call. That is how just 3 miles an hour can make a difference for you all out there. Again, here, folks, got to be patient, right? There's nowhere you're going. You got a truck in the left lane. You got an exit ramp. I couldn't quite tell if the blinker was on. It's on there at the end. But again, we got to back off a little bit. Give them plenty of space. We've seen where drivers think that's the exit they want, and then they come back, right? And then you would have been caught in no man's land there. You had no out. So just, hey, right here's the space. Keep this. They're turning. You don't need to gain on them. You're staying in your lane anyway. You're all good. Just back off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more patience is what we need.
That's
on that
it. Hey, and just a reminder, I had this conversation many, many months ago with a driver. And again, while it may in some states be legal, some it's not. But I will say this. One of the conversations I've had before passive drivers that in Texas, it is legal to pass on the right. But the drivers get hung up because it says it's legal. There's more to that law statement. It says it's legal when you have to do so. There is nothing that says you have to pass here. There's nothing requiring you to pass. There's not really, it doesn't even look like a slowdown, which is even scarier yet. Folks, slow down, be prepared to stop. Just because you can do the shoulder pass. It's not the safest thing to do. There's an intersection here. That's what this driver's waiting for.
And even if you're going to do this, and you know, I'm going to agree with you, just I don't like the habit of passing on that right. But if that is going to happen, you've got to slow down significantly more than what we're doing here. This appears to me to be more of a reaction. You know what?
Yes.
I wasn't paying perhaps attention, and I'm going to move over to the right. It's a little too late now to stop, to slow down, to do anything. The only choice I may have at this moment is to move into that right lane to avoid from hitting the vehicle, which means that we're not focused on the road ahead. Was this, I guess we don't know that part, but, in our hearts, we've got to recognize where we are, that vehicle ahead of us is stopped. And if we recognize that right now, we're going to slow down. Mm-hmm. And I just think, buckle up, that we didn't see it. We took the only way out, and that was to the right. And that's not where we want to be.
No, and that's just luck, right?
It's just luck, without a doubt.
And you never want to be driving on
luck. And we want to learn from film. So when you see this right now, your job out there on BCB Live as somebody who watches this is to take from this film and learn from it, and just remember that you've got to just stay focused all the time, especially on these 2-lane roads.
Yeah, and the other thing you want to remember too is, folks, what I saw too here was you should be slowing down anyway because you're on a solid yellow line, which is no passing to the left regardless. So again, when we talk about the outs, you should already be slowing down because you can't pass vehicles, period, here on the left. So that should already require you to be slowing down, not maintaining speed. And we talk all the time, these rural highways are so dangerous because you have all the side streets coming out, driveways, things of this, are tree lines that can block your vision. You have to drive defensively here. And here, again, this is just a good reminder because, again, there was, it's been a while, but there was reported from a customer that we've seen in the past where drivers have hit gates making U-turns. And the thing that you've got to remind yourself about your equipment is when you make a sharp pivot on a U-turn like this, that rear of that trailer, even though them tires kind of stay put for the most part, that trailer swings out about 3 to 4 feet. So that space you had, if it's tight, you don't have it. Because when you're going to make that pivot, you got to understand the equipment. That trailer kind of backs up 3 to 4 feet. And again, it's hard on the equipment. You can damage fairings. We've seen over the years. So it's just a good reminder. Don't make a U-turn. If you got to avoid it, find a different option. You know, looks like other trucks are coming out of a facility. Go in the facility and turn around, or whatever the case may be. But it just seems like this might even be a rest area, maybe. Not sure, because you see traffic coming. But again, U-turns are dangerous. Never a good idea. And here again, new technology, folks. It's coming. It's here, and it's again to learn, not to criticize or punish, but to learn. You gotta stop. Stop means stop, not roll through it, right? So just stop. It's there. Patience, right? When you ask yourself, why would I roll through to stop? You know, I'll get a lot of answers like, well, there's nobody there. I said, well, that's not why. Okay, why you actually did it, the root cause of why is you just got a little impatient, right? Be patient, come to a complete stop, make sure somebody else didn't miss something, you didn't miss something at night, right? And then go through.
Yeah, you see us running at the stop sign, and we call that a slow roll, right? And what happens on that? And again, we want to remind you that technology is there. It continues to improve, and it's there to make us better. It's there to show that, hey, you know what? We didn't need you to hard brake. You know, back in the day, and a lot of companies still have that, where you've got to create a hard brake. You've got to actually follow too close before it knows the camera can trigger something back. Well, the new technology says, hey, you know what? I'm just going to let you know every time it happens. So it's looking up there at the stop sign. The camera looks at that octagon, and it goes stop sign. It requires a stop. If, in fact, you don't stop and you roll through it, it reports that back. I love this technology because, again, it's there to make us better. So many times, and producer, I'm going to put this up to you as well, just to kind of talk. You can talk through this because I am so guilty early in the morning that I know the stop signs when I leave my house that never have anybody at them. And if I'm not careful, I will slow roll them things all day because nobody's ever there. Producer, are you guilty of that?
Luckily for me, the only thing from my apartment to here is a highway and then stoplights.
Gotcha.
So I'm not given the opportunity to slow roll through, which is probably a good thing because I think if it was as early coming through here,
you're up here
I'm
early,
up early,
so
I'd probably be doing
and I
the
think
exact same
this,
thing.
I don't know what time this is, but these nighttime, these early things, especially if it's your area that you run. You know what? If I'm not familiar with the area, in my heart, I'm probably going to stop all the time. But since I'm leaving my house and I know that at early in the morning like that, there's probably nobody there, and I've never seen anybody, I'm more apt to run or slow roll that sign than I am during the day hours. Because and let me tell you something, it's not healthy because when you're not looking the way you normally look, and when you run that, if there is a car there, you're going to get into an accident, you're going to hit somebody, and it will be your fault. We've got to remember this, to stop at all times.
Always stop.
Work on it.
Yes, and and one thing I like about the technology is, we talk a lot about, and drivers have actually come on the show and said, yeah, it's a bad habit I'm trying to break, right? And that's what's great is because this new technology gives a driver a scorecard that he or she can look at, see where their weaknesses are. If it's stop signs, stoplights, if it's speeding, right? So they get a great report card on, hey, I've got to focus on this area to be a safer driver. It doesn't make you a bad driver, it'll identify areas in your habits that you really got to focus on. And it allows companies to coach drivers. Hey, maybe most of the drivers' scorecards are speed, so they can focus on the speed because that's going to be their biggest critical area. And we know that these habits can lead to high risk of accident potential. And so that's what it's geared to, is to kind of give that driver that snapshot in the company so that they can coach, not get rid of, folks. Yes, sometimes if a driver just flat refuses to look at the data, okay. But most drivers, and I'll say 95 to 98% of them, want to be safe out there. They just got some bad habits that need to correct.
If you're a safety director out there and you want some advice, about your camera system, maybe you're thinking of updating. Let me tell you, there's some great technology out there. We've had Netrodyne on here. We've had Keep Trucking on here. The Samsara folks on there. They all bring something to you to the table for your fleet. And when Buckle Up Bob talks about those report cards, the scorecards, I should say, well, the beauty of this about the scorecards, about technology today, is not only does it give you that scorecard to see how you're doing, it also gives you film to back it up.
Yes.
Film that you can look at and say, they're going to say, hey, well, you know what? You slow rolled, you ran this yellow sign, you ran this the stop signal. It's going to tell you all that. And then it's going to show you those videos that you can go back and review yourself. As a matter of fact, you have to go back and review,
Yes,
right?
you do.
It's part of your corrective acts, and that's the beauty. I love it because it allows you to see what's going on. Buckle up, Bob. What a great show today. We have a week ahead of us. We got wins today. We have chaos on the menu today as well. Yes. Chaos is on the forecast, okay? Recognize it, pack your patience, be ready to do the right thing all the time. Buckle up. Close this out with a prayer, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, as we approach the day of remembrance of the great sacrifice that you made for each and every one of us, Lord, with your son Jesus and his birth, Lord, let us not forget why he came into this world, and let us keep our focus on him. And Lord, give that same guidance to each and every driver out there, that when they're out there, what they're doing is unsafe, and that they can be safe out there, that the industry is unsafe for them, and they can control what they can control, Lord. Have them have the patience. Have them have the wisdom to slow down and create all the space they need to protect life and return home to their families during this chaotic time of the year. Lord, we ask all of this in your son's Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We'll see you this afternoon on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Buckle up.